Hello and welcome to Ivory Blush Roses. My name is Lisa. I know I've put one video out on the Autumn Pillow project already that I filmed last year. Today I'm going to get started on finishing the last 8 seams of this project. I'd really like to get this done. While you may not be seeing all the videos until sometime in late September or October, I'm actually filming this in August, trying to get ahead just a little bit. We have 8 seams to go, and I'm so excited to get it finished. I'd love to put this on my sofa this autumn. So let's go ahead and choose our seam for today. Finn is here helping me today. He's been very needy lately, so I'm letting him come in and sit with me. But let's go ahead and choose our stitch for the day. Let's see what we have. Hi, Finn. Let's see. So for this one, get your tail out of the way, we have a closed feather stitch. That's a fun one. We did a similar one earlier on this series, and we'll have to do another one. We need to choose a seam to put it on. I'm at the stage where most of this doesn't fit in one view where I'm filming at anyway. But all of the seams that we have now are out around the edges. And so let me show you the previous one that we had, which was this one right here. So I don't want to be over in this area. I'm actually thinking about putting that one over here, but I'd also like to do something that kind of went out into that plain area. So let's look and see what else we have. We've got sort of a semi-closed one here. Finn's going to choose for us. Aren't you, buddy? And I wonder why I get cat hair on everything. That's just the way it is. He was sitting nice and sweet on the bed earlier, and I thought I could keep him in here, but I think we're probably going to have to let him out of the room, or we're not going to get any stitching done. So let me do that to my poor sweet kitty who really wants to just be with me. Finn has been banished from the room. I think we need to do just a little bit of defuzzing because he got me and the project. I'm looking at this. I'm actually thinking, let's go down here to this busy seam. I think that a stitch like a closed feather stitch will show up well against that. The next step is to choose threads. Now, I do have my frame that I will be attaching. So let's just go ahead and tack this down. So a review on this project. My goal is to make a pillow that's about 16 inches square. The last inch to inch and a half is not going to be showing on that. We've been stitching all the way out in anticipation of possibly doing an 18-inch pillow, but I just don't know till we get there. So I'm just stretching this out. When I began this project, we were doing it in the hoop, and I quickly found that the hoop was damaging some of the previous stitches that we had done. And with these thick fabrics, because these are almost all cotton velveteens, we're going to do that one a little away from the corner here. It just wasn't holding the project quite as tightly as I needed. I think we're gonna, on these long sides, gonna need to put 2 in just to hold things nice and stable. I'm using a 1/2-inch frame. I prefer the smaller ones, the mini ones, but I think these are the larger ones, which I called it 1/2 inch. I think they're actually 3/4 of an inch. And I know I've gotten questions about the tacks that I use. I order mine off of Amazon, and I get the Clover tacks, which are meant for needlework. The reality is you just want a brass tack because the brass isn't going to leave marks in the fabric. Namely, it's not going to rust, and that's what we're trying to avoid. I actually wonder if we need one more right in there. I don't know. We're stitching down here. I'm not going to worry too much about it. One of the things that I have found when I'm putting this in the frame is that I do need to roll up the sides. And so I'm just going to take my pins and I'm going to pin it from the back and kind of hide the tip in there. I just need a little less bulk around where my hands are going to be. I'm not as concerned with that out the back side, but even there, I just want to minimize some of what I'm having to deal with, so I'm just going to pin through that to make it smaller, and now I'll be ready to put it in the frame. And so I'll put the frame so it holds it up here at those corners. Maybe we should choose threads so we can still see a little bit of the project and what's around it. If you'll remember back to when we were working on this project last year, Valdani very kindly gifted me a set of threads, and I've combined it with other Valdani threads that I have. So this is stitched entirely with Valdani Pearl Cottons. Most of them are a size 8 or 12. We're going to do a straight seam along here. I want something that's going to show up with a really beautiful bold contrast against that. There's not much of the red down in here, and I actually wonder how that red would show up there. I like that a lot. That's really nice against that. Shows up well against here. It feels like everything in this area is pretty gold, so I'm thinking I want to try and stick with things that are maybe in the green category. This has also got a fairly green background, so I want to contrast with that. So do I want a cool green? Now I've used that cool green over here, but that looks nice. Let's just look at this slightly warmer one. So I've got to look at it on both sides of the fabric. I actually wonder if this is going to show up a little better. I also have this one that's got some brown in it, and we have not used that one a lot. So let me take a look at that one. I think it's going to blend, yeah, it's going to blend in way too much. So that's the main reason we haven't used that one. So I'm thinking that one. I like the brighter, cooler green. I just don't know. I'm not sure. We're trying to do no more than about 3 passes on these. And I think we've had a couple where we've done 4. We've got this color that we keep trying to use. This might actually be a good spot for it. That might be a good accent. So do I like it better with this combo or with this combo down here? And I like it better with this one. Let's go with the cool green. I like the cool green better. And the more I look at this, I actually wonder if this is that one. I don't remember. It's been a long time ago since we stitched that. There are our 3 threads that we're going to use. We have a size 8 and 2 12s in the Valdani Pearl Cotton. So those are the threads we're going to use. Now I do think I'm going to stitch the primary stitch in the red on this one. I think we need that bold red to come down on this seam. I just like the way it shows up on both of those. So let me find my needles here. Recently, I have taken to stitching these heavier threads with the chenille needle, and I am going to do that on this one. So I'm going to run out my length of thread. We've been doing the sampler series recently, and I have been marking everything. My experience is that marking on velvet is next to impossible. Let's go ahead and get started. I need to be thinking about where I want this stitch to fall, and most of these are falling directly over the seam, and so I'm going to go ahead and start that way. Now I usually like to do feather stitch from the top down, and I'm wondering about this chenille needle going through this thick fabric with all these seams here. We shall see how it goes. So this is actually going to end up being a similar scale to the one that we did on the other side. Keep in mind that these are not necessarily stitch tutorials. To close this one, we're going to go all the way up to where we just came. And we're going to be bringing that down. And I want to be making triangles of an equal size. And so once I've got my basic pattern established, I'm wondering if I need to snug some of this up just a little bit to get my good measurement. We're coming right back up there. And we're coming right down there. I have loved our sampler colors, but I have to be honest with you, it's nice to have a change. I love having a couple of different projects going so that I can do something slightly different. It helps keep me fresh for both projects, and I don't get burnt out on a project quite so easily. I feel like I pulled this one in slightly, but I wonder if we just need to follow that. So this is a pretty big pattern to work from here. And I kind of feel like we're getting bigger as we go. The idea is to try and keep those nice and parallel as we go. I'm going to stitch this down. I might do one more stitch here. See, that didn't really come out. I'm going to redo that one. So I really want to come up right where that one went down to make it close properly. And I'm just trying to eyeball where that needs to come. I think we're actually needing down a smidgen further. There we go. Let's try that. That worked out well. Now we're going to go again right up at the base of that. And we're going to come up right in there. And I'm going to close that one off because that puts us in that outer inch. And then I'll turn it over and make a knot. So I made my knot, changed the battery in the camera. Now we need to decide what we want to do to embellish that. And there's so many possibilities with something like this. What do we want to do on this one to make it unique and different? I feel like we need some kind of lazy daisies and French knots on it. Of course, lazy daisies makes total sense in that one, but we could also change it up and do something with those as well, and then follow up with something in the green. I do think this one's going to be better as an accent because it's not been a major part anywhere else in this whole project. So let's go ahead and come up with something. And that's the point I usually like to get my stitch book out, but I have no idea where I've put my stitch book. So we're just going to wing this one. I'm wondering actually about coming out over that. If we did a series of 3 that came out over that, or coming right out of the center of each one, and then maybe doing some pistol stitches in the taupe. You know, the only way to know, and we've got a string there, and those little strings always bug me, so get rid of that. Do we want to go right from here like it's a little vase? Or do we want to come from down inside? I'm sort of liking the idea of coming from the inside. Let's try it. If we don't like it, we can always take it out. So how big do we want those? Kind of a nice big center one. And then how about two smaller ones on either side? So we're just making lazy daisies or detached chains. And we're going to go much shorter on these. I'm just coming down from where I was on that other one. I ran my needle along the back so I could sort of see where it was. Let's actually come back and we'll do the ones on the other side. I'm going to put in the short one here. And so we're not terribly far over the outside edge, so I'm trying to match that. I do think we need to put the middle one in, but we're not going to put the one that would go that way, because it would be hidden by that seam. And plus we're going to have something else coming over this whole seam that curves around. And I'm not sure what we're going to be doing there yet. I'm kind of waiting for something that seems like it would go and bend nicely. So I think, there we go. I like that. All right, so now we're going to come down here. So I'm trying to come up right about there. So sometimes putting my fingernail over it helps me get into the right spot. I'm fighting the fold of the fabric just a little bit. I'm making sure I don't have a loop on the back. I like putting in my center one first, because that way I can get it nice and straight and it helps establish my size. So I think that's about the right spot. And then we're going down. We'll come up and do the short one on the other side. And actually looking at that, that might have been just a smidgen short, but we'll make it work. A lot of this is just improvisation. And to me, that's half the fun of stitching this way. We just kind of work intuitively and figure things out as we go. And so this one's going to end up with a completely different look than the other one that we did, and that's what I was looking for. We could even just put a French knot down there at the center, and that might actually be really nice. So I'm going to just zigzag crosswise back and forth across this seam. So now I'm coming up right there. And that will make, sorry, I keep bumping the frame here. And I'm trying to come straight out, oh my gosh, and straight down. I think I'm working a little further back on the table than I'm used to. And if it was just me, I'd be moving it closer to myself, but then it makes it harder to actually film it. I think this one's going to go pretty quickly here. And I like the way it's coming out. Makes sort of a rich seam here. Now to the other side again, straight out. I'm trying to get just past the fold of that fabric. I need to come out far enough now. I wasn't quite as far as I wanted to be on that last one on this side. So for those of you who've been watching the sampler project and the tutorials, I'm hoping that this expands your horizons a little bit and gives you a look at intuitive stitching and stitching without measuring everything out, because I truthfully rarely do all of that marking that we've been doing on that project. I've been doing that mostly so it's easier for you to see where the stitches go. But when I'm just stitching on my own project, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to worry too much if we get one leaf shorter here than another one. We're just going to keep going. Going to need a new thread here in a moment. I think we'll be able to finish out this trio of leaves. See another cat hair in there. That's the story of my life on this project. In the description box I'll leave the playlist for the Autumn Pillow series. I started off being known as CQ-tober. So you'll see that in the title, and I may just title the rest of it the Autumn Pillow series in this group. We'll see, because they're not going to be coming out in October, and we're not doing them in 2024 anymore, since it's coming up on fall. I'm going to take that one out there and I'm just going to pull it out, and then when I go to finish the knot on that one, then I can make both knots and we can just keep stitching. I really am pleased with how this one's looking though. So now we're off to this other side. Again, I'm trying to come up right in the center, just over the edge of that fold, and that fold wants to move on me even though it's lightly basted down. I just stitched through my knot. I could feel it move, so just tilt your needle and get it away from that knot, because if you stitch through the knot, then it tends to distort the stitch. That one might be a little long, that's alright. But that green is showing up nicely. I'm pleased with that choice. So these videos are going to be coming to you in between the sampler series videos. The goal is to have both of these finished by the end of October. Well, this one by the end of October, if I can get. It might be November, I can't remember. We have a total of 9 videos. I can't remember exactly. I think some of it depends on if I decide to break this long seam up here up into 2. If I break it into 2, then we have 9 seams to go. At the moment, the way I have it planned, we have 8 seams, including this one, to go. That's 2 months worth of videos. And every time I try and make plans about what I'm going to do, life happens and I am not able to follow through. So we're just going to stitch and get this project done this year, get the sampler project finished this year. And if we have time, we may do some Christmas things. And if not, we just won't. Because some years are like that. I do have a fun little project I would love to finish up that was started many years ago. But I'm not going to make too many plans on that one just yet. Almost done with our leaves. One more set to go. In the past, I had done a lot of speeding up on these videos, and everybody seems to like the real-time stitching. So I'm not going to be doing that for the remainder of this series. And we're just going to keep stitching in real time and hope that I'm not boring you to death with my chitter chatter. Pulled that one too tight. That's going to be too short, so I've got to pull that loop back out, loosen it up, now pull it back. Alright, we are ready to tie that off, and as I'm doing this I realized I should have brought that red down right here, so I may go back and make that stitch. Let's just do that right now. I've got the thread right here, and that way it'll be taken care of and I don't have to do it later. So we're just going to go straight down and finish off that seam. And now I'm going to turn it over and I'm going to make 3 knots. Well, I have our taupe thread and we're going to make some French knots. Now I debated putting stuff out here, and I think it's just going to look out there. Where I think I really want it is in at the base of these leaves. So that's what I'm going to do, and I'm going to try and make slightly larger ones. I am working with a size 12 thread. There are multiple ways of getting larger French knots. One is by using thicker thread or doubled thread, or making more wraps. We're going to do more wraps. I'm going to do 5 wraps on these. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm going to take it down right at the base of that center leaf. And I don't want it to be too tight, because that also will help it be a little bit larger in appearance. So we're just going to come right down this line. And I know I make neater French knots when I make them from right to left. So I'm going to do that on both sides. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And go down, not in the same spot. I want it a little off to the side. And again, I'm trying to keep it fairly loose so we get a little bit bulkier knot. And then here, again, I'm going to work toward my leaf on this side so I get a neater knot. So 2, 3, 4, 5. Go down right at the base. Again, you can see that I'm trying to keep that a little looser. I like that better. Down to the next one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If I don't count them, I miss the count. Never get it quite right, so I want to count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And again, loosen it up. If it's a little messy, I'm happy with that. I want that bigger, more noticeable knot. So it's 3, 4, 5. 3, 4, 5. And I know some people, when they really want a big one or if they want a really loose one, they actually will hold another needle or even a knitting needle or a toothpick alongside of the needle when they wrap to get that big loopy look. 3, there's 4, 5. Had to look and count. There we go. Two, 3, 4, 5. That one might be a little messier than I was expecting. All right, well, let me turn that over and make my knot, and then we'll take a look at it. There is our latest seam on the Autumn Pillow project. I'm really happy with that one. I think it balances nicely. It looks completely different from this one over here, and it's different from this one here. Now this one, even though it's a straight-sided one, really is a closed one, so we really got 2 closed feather stitches on here, but that's fine. I'm pleased with that, and I was glad to be able to bring that taupe in. We have it just a handful of other places on here. We have some right here, and I know it's on here somewhere else. I'm pretty sure we had 3 seams with it, but we'll try and find at least one more spot for it to go. You can't see the whole block from here, but we used some taupe up in this seam as well. So we have it through at least 3 times now, and I'm really glad for that. And like I said, I don't think that on video the rich color of this is coming through as much as I would like, but I'm really pleased with how this is looking. Well, I mentioned that it's August when I'm filming this, and it is a hot day out there. I think it's in the upper 90s. Working on this autumn project, it feels like fall is a long way away right now, but I'm so glad to be working on this. It's a nice change of pace. I hope you enjoyed today's seam. Thanks for coming along with me today. I hope you have a wonderful day. Happy stitching, and I'll see you in the next video.